From the first few minutes or so of the latest Division 2 state of the game, I was feeling like this video was going to be a negative Nancy, or you're always hating on the game, blah blah blah. But when we got further into it and more was explained, it actually sounds like they're bringing some really cool additions into the loot system in Division 2, although we're going to be waiting a little bit of time for that to drop in the game. And just to let you know, there is no content for me to play on the game at all, so not even anything to do with making videos. I just generally don't load the game up at the moment, but in no way, shape or form have I quit playing this game. I'm just waiting for new things to be added. So I will do the recaps weekly of state of the game, and then in some point in October when this title update 6 drops, I will come back to the game, I will play, see what's new, see how it works, do some videos and some streams and stuff for that, like all that stuff then. So jumping into the recap, a new PTS is coming. More info will be popping up for that in the coming days. They're not set on a date or anything just now. As we've already mentioned, TU6 will be dropping at some point next month, so pretty much within the next 3 to like 6-7 weeks or so, some point in October it will drop. Narrative content will not feature on the PTS anymore, so there shouldn't be spoilers for storyline stuff. All brand sets will feature gear for all slots now, except for the 511 tactical gear. So without me loading up a spreadsheet or anything like that, we're going to use pure example. Let's say the Araldi Holdings has only chest, gloves and knee pads available. You will now be able to go into the game and you can get an Araldi Holdings piece for any of the slots. Every single brand set will feature gear from each of the slots except for 511. That's going to stay how it is because that's a realistic, actual brand set kind of thing in real life. Gear sets will no longer require using 6 pieces to get the maximum benefits from it. You're only going to need to equip 4 pieces, so you'll have 2 pieces of gear spare for boosting weapon damage and things like that. So if we're going to use True Patriots Full Flag as an example, you'll need 4 pieces of gear equipped instead of 6. Aces and 8s and the other raid exclusive gear sets are being pushed out of the raid. They're coming out, so they're available for pretty much anyone to pick them up from doing different activities and things in the game. Except for backpacks and chests. They are staying exclusive to the raid and they're now going to have talents on them. Gear set items in general, so ongoing directive, hardwired, they're coming out of Black Tusk loot pools. They're going to be added into the general loot pools of the game, so you could just be roaming around, you take down a propaganda broadcast held by the True Sons, you could potentially get a gear set item. They mentioned around 35 or somewhere around that number of named items are going to be coming into the game, but they're going to try and push it into the harder content of the game like heroic missions and leveling up control points. They will have a unique talent which is just improved. So let's use knee pads again as an example. If you could get a set of knee pads that had hard hitting on them, you'd get a 10% DTE bonus. If you get the named item, that bonus will be a little bit better, so instead of 10% you might get 15%. But on weapons and things, like the talents that are unique are going to be locked. You won't be able to recalibrate them or anything like that. Audio issues in the game are still ongoing. They need to work on fixing loads of them. The Shepherd system will be spoken about in the coming weeks. You can now narrow the loot pools in the game. Main missions and named zones, so like the regions of the game, will have set loot that can drop and is going to separate. So if you're going into Federal Triangle and there's a main mission in there, the loot's going to be separate. So Federal Triangle could have a holster, while one of the main missions in there could have a mask or something like that. So just because you're in a set region doesn't mean you'll get that stuff if you're doing a main mission, and vice versa. Every day that's going to change, so you're not grinding the same thing over and over again for one piece of loot. The entire narrowing of the loot pool system is an additive, so the current loot in the game won't have any effect. That's going to work exactly how it does now. But if you're going, let's just say you're going to go do DCD headquarters for a chance at a certain assault rifle, you will get your normal drops. So let's say you're getting 2 boss drops. You'll get those and the added chance of getting that certain assault rifle. Recalibration has been reworked for the UI. It's going to be more beneficial for someone that doesn't want to go in there and work things out. So normally you go into the recalibration station, you pick a chest that's in your inventory, you want to recalibrate some extra weapon damage onto it, then you go through your list of things to see which weapon damage you can apply onto it. So if you know what gear you have, it's pretty much easy anyway. But the way they've done it now is you select the piece of gear, so you select your chest, you select the weapon damage that you want to recalibrate, then it's going to come up with a list of things that you can actually choose from. So it's going to filter it for you. You don't have to go through all of the pieces of gear you have. It will filter it to only the ones that you can apply on that chest. We can now recalibrate reds onto blues, blues onto yellows, yellows onto reds. Whichever we want is not going to be set to having to switch weapon damage for weapon damage. You can now recalibrate armor on kill for weapon damage and things like that. I don't know the entire depth of it, whether it works, everything like that, but that is sounding like something amazing. We're still only limited to one recalibration for every piece of gear that we want to recalibrate. I know a lot of people wanted to see like one attribute, one talent and things like that, but none of that's coming into the game at the moment. They are also looking into allowing us to recalibrate mod slots as well as talents and attributes. So if you have a chest and it's got a utility mod slot, but you need one more blue to activate patience on your knee pads, then if they do implement it into the game, we'll be able to switch out that utility mod slot and put a defensive one there so that we can add a mod that gives us that one extra blue so we can activate patience. They're trying to do it so that we have more diversity in the builds. Basically, if we want to go glass cannon like full DPS, we can do that through recalibration and things like that. And also they're doing it so that we can have more of our talents active, so they're not just sitting there dormant doing nothing. The material caps are being raised. The materials, they're going to be bringing in a sharing system just so that it can be shared across your different characters. So if you're maxed out on polycarb, can't do anything in terms of crafting on your main character, switch over to an alt, you can do things over there. NPCs are now going to drop more materials, and when you're at max, they won't drop any more materials until you've used some of them, so there's not just loot sitting there that's like redded out, you can't pick it up. It's going to be clearer in the game world. So for an example, if you're running a mission and the enemies you're killing are dropping, let's just say polycarbonate. If they're dropping polycarb and you're maxed out on it, enemies won't drop polycarb until you've used some. The cost of crafting is being lowered for certain materials so that we can craft more things, we can get better builds and stuff going. And also a fairly big one, which is the final point, we are now going to be shown how to get any of the blueprints in the game that we might still be missing. As an example, they was going to do like a big spreadsheet kind of thing where they explain it all, but now they're putting it into the actual game. So if you still need the extended 5.56, like the sturdy 5.56 mag or something like that, you will now be able to go somewhere, probably in the White House, and it will explain to you, go out and do leveled up control points or something like that. We're going to have an explanation as to how to get the blueprints we're missing from the game. That is pretty much the most important notes I took from it. I think there's a couple of other things that weren't as interesting or beneficial to us as players that are trying to work on builds and things. They said next week they'll be talking about PvP and everything like that. Then the following week will be more dates and things for when the stuff's coming out, being released into the game and stuff like that. But for now, that's going to do it for the video. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. As I said, I probably won't be playing much of the game until this stuff is released, but I'm not quitting Division 2. I have a lot of people coming to my live streams asking me that question, so I just wanted to clear it up for you guys. But as I said, end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.